So, quick update on what I'm doing here. One thing I'm going to do is just bolt the diff cover on, get it off the shelf. One thing that is kind of annoying is I did the front brakes, obviously. I went to do the rear brakes here, and I don't want to take the wheels off to show you. They sent me Fox space. This is so long ago, I don't know if I can do anything about it. I got to call Moser, but they sent Fox spacing brakes instead of New Edge. So what happens is they don't fit. The brake, the rotor spacing to the brake is off a ton, like a whole inch. And my buddy Jace said that it's like 2 inches, the spacing to the backing plate to the hub, and it should be like 2 3/4 or similar. Like I'm missing like almost an inch of space, which makes sense. So that sucks for me, and I'm gonna have to call them and figure out what to do with these axles. 35 spline, whatever length. Yeah, I mean, it was like a year ago. Here's the issue with doing stuff over too long a time, right? So that's one of them. I can't get rear brakes until I fix that. I can still run a brake line, and I'm going to measure for a drive shaft. So I got that going. I just got to do that. And then I think I'm going to measure for a drive shaft and try to put the shifter in. So then that way I can put this thing in park. And it would be nice to block off the rear brake feed, drill the hole, block off the rear brake feed. And then I have a Fox. One other thing I noticed is this is a Fox shock. So there's like a big wiggle room here. So that has to be washered, or maybe I can trade somebody. And then also I got Fox caster camber plates. So what I did was got replacement that are actually SN95 plates. So I got to put those on, and then I either just have to put washers in these or change the whole shock, which I don't know, man. I don't think I want to do. Here's my wiring yet. I have slimmed it down considerably, so I have to go through that yet. I want to run my battery cable while I'm under here, and the other thing I have to do is Tom needed to sand a bunch of this to weld things, so I need to shove stuff behind here and paint this, or pull all this stuff out quick and dust the whole front end with the trusty Tractor Supply implement paint I've come to love. And then the other thing I did, I wasn't sure. I wanted to put the drains up front so they're not going way back here and interfering with the engine mount, something I've had an issue with before. And then also if it's here and it's going back to where there's significant amount of room or appropriate amount of room, my power steering stuff is all here anyway. So I was like, oh, I'll put it in the timing cover since I have a decent gap here. And then I was like, man, yeah, I don't want to take the oil pan off, take the whole motor out, mess with that. So I'll do timing cover. So then I just looked up. I thought ICT Billet made this, and they do. So I bought the one I needed, and I got a Gen 3 without the cam sensor hole there. So that was a dummy mistake, and they were very good about replacing it for me. And that'll go up in there yonder, and those are the turbo drains. So that'll get done, and then you can see here they have bottom ports and top ports. Pretty cool. That's the exhaust. There's a laundry list, obviously. From here, there's many, many things to go, but I should take everything apart and paint this stuff so it doesn't get rusty. This is already starting to get a little bit of surface on it. So, gotta do all that. I actually have a spare drive shaft I bought from a friend, Mark Rollison. Is that it, Mark? Mike? Man, I'm gonna feel so terrible, but I'm so bad with names. He had a 1,000 rear wheel horsepower Dakota LS swap that I tuned, and he got a different drive shaft. He had like a 72-inch 8.8 everything else drive shaft, so he cut the pinion side, the yoke side off, and shipped it to me in whatever tube So I have that. So all it needs, I bought a Sonex billet output. Look at me, guys. Look at me. I got a Sonex billet output Yoki boy from Summit. And that should be in the mail soon. I bought it yesterday or the other day. Then I can measure this out and get the drive shaft done. Drive shaft and shifter. That'll be nice. Put the bolts in the torque converter. I got a starter. Put an oil filter in this thing. Just start doing the little things like I always preach to people. I need to start doing it too. I cut apart the entire shifter box up here, and there is a decent amount of room. I may still get rid of that whole thing just to give myself, we'll see where the shifter goes. I'm going to probably put the shifter back where the e-brake goes. And then I think they sell, I've seen it in other cars, they sell custom gauge clusters to go in the shifter boot area where you can just put gauges in there. So I don't know what I want to do there. I don't really like the gauges. I'm going to have the dash, but Holly does make those CAN bus gauges. It'd be cool to maybe put one or two there, or just a bunch of switches that scramble and everything else. So that's majority of it. I should see how the connector goes in there. It probably won't be that big of a problem. It might need a little bit more area clearanced. So I did some of this, the Nelsons did some of it. And then again, I did some and the Nelsons did some. See how nice of a job the Nelsons did? Jeez, you can barely tell what was done here. Custom subframe connectors, and they melted them all into each other. It looks like almost nothing happened. I gave them the Tractor Supply paint with the car, and it's amazing how well that matches. It's hilarious. And they did all of so there's bolt-in battle boxes, and then these are QA1s from Summit. Those are QA1. And then they welded everything. Like inside here, they welded everything. Outside here, they welded everything. They added meat in here for the bolt holes. They made these lower control arms that are adjustable. They welded everything in here. What's cool is it's hard to tell what all was done. That's how much they did and how well they did it. So I have to it's been a long time since I measured a drive shaft, but I like to do it with the yoke. So the yoke is on the way. Yoke is on the way. Anybody, ring a bell to anybody? Movie, pop culture stuff. So yeah, once the yoke is in here and I bolt the other one, that's where I get my measurements from the center line of the U-joint boy, universal U-joint, whatever. And then from there to there, U-joint to U-joint. And then you have a certain amount of pull-out, which I'm going to just confirm with Cameron, because this is what we do now. We get anxious. I get anxious about transmission stuff, because if I do something, he'll be like, why did you do that? Or you should have. Yeah, so I'm going to do what I normally do and go over the numbers with him, and he can be like, nope, it should be just get yourself a little bit of this or that, because expensive trans, expensive input outputs, expensive converter, expensive billet, Sonex, yoke. I want to make sure I don't do dumb things. So that's a quickie. For now, the axle stuff has me bummed. That's annoying. I wanted to have the brakes on and do the brake lines, but not much I can do about that neck. Gotta call Moser. Oh yeah, it's rubbing now because it's jacked up. But yeah, that is super annoying. Look how clean all this stuff is. What is going on? Shine and stuff. Yes. So my brakes don't fit with this, frustrating. So figure it out. I'll have to call them and give them a bunch of measurements. I don't know if I can trade or if they'll take that. I'm sure it's so old, even if I do have paperwork, they're not going to care. So figure that out. Cross that bridge. Everything else is going good. While it's in here, I should knock the tank out. Do all of that stuff. It's gotta get started, get the ball rolling. Got some other stuff done. I am so anxious about starting the wiring. I want to run the battery cables while it's up here too. I got to clear out the trunk. And then part of me wants to... These broke. At least I have one here and one over there. The back one's broke on both sides. I should probably wire wheel all this and paint it. And I'm considering putting nut certs in these and doing like M8s. M8 nut certs instead of these tiny ones that broke. And that's all of it. That's all for now. Quick overview, and then I think I'll I'll do videos of me doing a terrible job installing the battery wires. Other than that, have a nice day, kids.